Okay. Good afternoon. Welcome, everyone. As you're back there serving your plates, just continue to get you a plate full of stuff and find a seat quietly. We're going to move ahead so we don't miss any of this great presentation. Just wanted to say that Dr. Christopher Stevenson is a unique osteopath, although not by some of our standards. He has a calling and a mission in life, and it's right now connected with the Cancer Treatment Centers of America. And he has brought with him staff from the Philadelphia facility predominantly. But I know you're going to enjoy his presentation about a Stillian, an Andrew Taylor Stillian way of viewing health and healing. So I'm not going to take any more time. His bio's there as well as the other participants, but I can't thank him enough for making time in his very busy schedule to be here with us and to share some really, really wonderful stuff. Thanks. Dr. Stevens.
Thank you, Dr. Foster. Well, good afternoon, everybody. This is great. This is the first time I have a chance to see my brother-in-law's school. My brother-in-law, Sean Holzenbach, is one-year grad. So this is God's country. I love this university. I love the campus. You guys are so blessed to be here. Is anybody familiar with the game called charades? Okay. Who am I? No, I'm Chris Stevenson. This is Dr. Still. So, one thing I never really got a clear understanding of in Chicago, I'm a Chicago grad, and it's really knowing that I am unique as an osteopath. Why is that? There is a heritage to each one of us for the things that we are doing here. This man was a Civil War surgeon and physician who put people back together on the battlefield. He was trained traditionally for the time with a lot of real-life experience, a lot of mentoring, and not really a lot of official schooling, but he was an MD. He used the medications of the day. So this is where, in 1864, this man who served this country, both the Union and the Confederate side to repair people, comes back home finally to his Kirksville, Missouri place. It actually wasn't Kirksville where he lived initially. But he came back to become a farmer and to have 3 sons. We don't really know their names. They're mentioned just briefly in his book. Few of us have actually read his original work, and I'm going to challenge you all to read his work because it'll help you to know who you are as an osteopath. So this man has 3 beautiful sons. 2 of them are his own. 1 is adopted. Anybody have, who has children here? So as a parent, I would sacrifice all of myself to save any one of my children. A chicken fell into the family's well, contaminated the water, still drank coffee, so he did not get sick. But his children all drank water from the well, became ill, were turned over to his colleagues for their care, as was the norm of the day, and they were all killed. In his sorrow, he's the son of a Methodist minister, a frontiersman, raised by the Shawnee Indians and by his family, the Methodists. He loses faith in God. He says, God, are you nothing but a murderer? Did you just create us to kill us and destroy us, or did you have a higher purpose in mind? He came to the conclusion that God, the grand architect of everything geometrically set in the universe, the grand architect, if he created the universe, must have also created us. And he went back to Genesis 1:27. He said, look, if we are created in his likeness, then I must know his likeness very well. Now, I love this book. Anybody seen this book before? This blows doors on anatomy. I think it's the finest book out there right now. This is the Latin edition. He didn't have that book. He actually had this book. This is a book of Scripture. And he went back to read Scripture and understand and seek to understand what it was about. Why was he here and was he to practice medicine? And so in that dark space, he was revealed osteopathy. To this day, osteopathy is grounded in philosophy. It is grounded in spiritual understanding, that you have a reason and a purpose. Each one of you is a miracle. When your mother was born, your egg that would become you was inside of her at that time. Your mother's womb had to be protected for all of those years that she lived and grew until the fascia of your father could meet the fascia of your mother. And there were millions and millions of competitors that could have been anyone but you, and you won. That's amazing to me still. Annie? So this is one of the few recordings we have of our hero. Has anybody ever seen this before? Anyway, so a couple of you. Okay, so guys, this is on YouTube. Here's our boy on the left. So he's showing how to release a first rib and shoulder dysfunction. I believe this is one of the only recordings we have of him. We have still pictures, but we don't have actual cinematography. Now he's addressing a group of people in Kirksville. At any rate, I get kind of chills whenever I see this. I'm impressed with the guy, and that's about it. So what I'm going to be talking to you today about is the mind and body relationship. And it's funny how this comes about, because I really didn't have a lot of cases when Dr. Foster asked me about this. So I really couldn't think about a lot of direct cases. And then lo and behold, they started falling in front of me. So in the last 6 weeks, I've had 3 cases where I'd like to talk to you about them, because for whatever reason, prayer seems to always work. It isn't just for some reason, it works. This is Erik Erikson's model of behavior and coping strategies. And I put this up here just for a reference. If those of you who have not studied psychology before, I'm not always the best psychologist, but what I'm trying to use here is that different ages provide the foundation by how you will cope with different challenges that will come your way. And if you've had a worry-free life to the age of 65, you're blessed and very unique and protected for some reason. But if you had problems at, say, age of 3 or 6 where you lost a parent, you were traumatized, you were abused, your coping mechanisms the rest of your life will be at that level until you can get repaired to go on to the next level. So my first case is Shelby. Shelby's a very attractive young lady. This is Shelby with her sister and her mom and dad. The ideal kids, 10 years of age, nothing wrong, beautiful life. And then life happened. At age 11, she developed severe acne, not pubescent, prepubescent acne. Eventually, she developed eating problems and had bowel stasis. Without being diabetic, this girl developed gastroparesia and a shut-down bowel. She literally drank vinegar on a daily basis to help with her digestion. She was seen by homeopaths and naturopaths and chiropractors and a variety of different practitioners. And she spent 13 years of her life seeing different people for different things to help her out. So she was a Christian, but without hope. You know, she just felt, I'll never be well. So then I talked to her. She came to my clinic, and I said, so talk to me about your Shelby. You know, what is the most important question you can ask your patients? And this is really important. If you guys write one question, one thing that you heard from Dr. Stevenson, it's this one question you must ask all your patients. When were you last well? When were you last well? Make sure you, when they give you an answer, no, I mean really well. When were you really last well? She was really last well when she was in the front yard with her sister as they were fighting, as girls might want to do, as sisters. And Dad was out spray washing the house on a ladder. He was on the upper level of the ladder when he lost his balance, fell off the ladder, smashed his body into the earth, crushing several bones in his vertebra, smashing open his head, and she got to Daddy to see the lights go slowly dim in his eyes. So she literally watched as her dad almost died and then became an invalid for 6 months as he was in rehab centers. She blamed herself for the argument that distracted her father and caused him to fall off the roof. So she developed a conversion eating disorder, a DSM-4, or probably 5, avoidant restrictive food intake disorder. When I examined her abdomen, it was cold. There was no perfusion. Chest was warm, arms were warm, but her abdomen was entirely chilled and cold. She suffered from what I would call a wrenched gut experience. So what I did is I had her lay down. I talked her through the experience, the trauma with her family. She began to cry, and as she cried, I cradled her legs. I worked on her abdomen. I do a lot of visceral manipulation, so I just held my hand over it and let her talk about her family. I reduced the pressure on the abdomen and then proceeded to perfuse and get warm. That night, she called her mother at home. This is a woman who just eats everything out of a straw. So her favorite meal when she was 10 was fried chicken, so Mom made fried chicken. She ate 2 breasts of fried chicken that night and then evacuated 3 days' worth of food in the morning. Everything had been restored. We still have work to do to get her all better again, but this was a remarkable mind-body experience. Then Steve. He was an honor guard for the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier here in Arlington. He also served in Afghanistan to go over and put the pieces of bodies together into a body bag and bring them back home. He had the very difficult job of going and talking to a mother, a sister, or a wife about the loss, or the husband about the loss of a loved one. So, very difficult job. He was concerned about a spot on his left cheek. This spot was, you could see his cheeks that were very hollowed. I mean, this is a very young man, about 36, but just very hollowed cheeks. He had a very cold chest. When I went to examine him, there was just chills. It was not warm. I mean, like his heart's right here, and there was nothing there behind the heart. When I talked to him further about this, I had him lay down, and he recalled that the sorrow that he felt for a wife of a serviceman who had died, as they brought the man to Arlington for the 1.5 miles of the walk, she wailed so loud, so soulfully bad, that he could not eliminate that wailing. About all the other things he'd ever seen, her wailing affected him greatly. So as he's on the table, he starts talking about the wailing that he heard and how it struck him to his core. And as he did, all of a sudden his chest perfused, the warmth came in, and his cheeks filled. Amazing. This is the mind and the body. He was suppressed, but he suppressed his sorrow, but as he recounted it, the warmth and perfusion returned to his chest. So it's a DSM-5 conversion disorder, functional neurologic symptom disorder, or a DSM-4 somatoform disorder. Hospital diagnosis, patient with a heavy heart. Goal in life, a loving relationship. And I put this up as a traditional relationship. I'm not trying to say this is a traditional relationship. If you die spontaneously after the first 10 years of your life and you're married to somebody, they are at a very high risk of dying. They develop a thing called Takotsubo heart failure. This on the right is a octopus catcher. It's an octopus trap. It's a Japanese octopus trap, and it looks, if you look at the profile of the heart and this vase, they're almost identical. So kind of a neat little, that's where you get the name from. You guys will, when you get to your later years and your training in 3rd and 4th years, they'll throw this elaborate word up to you and go, well, I know what it is, it's an octopus jar. So, anyhow, Takotsubo cardiomyopathy is a broken heart syndrome. You can also occur with several physiologic stress conditions such as sepsis. It can occur at any age. And again, people who are married for up to even 10 years have a 66% increased risk of mortality at 3 months of that loss. Sorrow can affect the heart that bad. So this is the posture of a loser. I took many exams in medical school. This was me once in a while. My first round of biochemistry, my first round of histology, my first round of anatomy. I looked just like this. In my lab later today, we're going to talk about birth trauma. What this guy's actually doing is reaching to the right side of his skull, which is the loading point for how your body physiologically leaves your mother's womb if you were born vaginally. In order for you to leave that diagonally shaped, not circular, but oval orifice, you have to be streamlined like this. And you load all of the pressure on the right base of the skull at C3. So this is a traditional view. I didn't frame this picture, but this is how most of us deal with painful experiences. We go back to our primordial injury, and we don't know that it's there. So in the workshop today, I'm going to teach you how to unlock this. Now this, when I was a kid, this is a picture of a winner. So in all honesty, I'd like everybody to stand up for a second, please. So this is the postprandial stretch. If you want to increase your sense of accomplishment, if you want to increase your sense of well-being, raise your testosterone levels, and be able to go into your administration to demand that raise, for 3 minutes beforehand, I want you to raise your hands, and I want you to think to yourself about how good you are. Put your fingers up, you've won the race. By walking around with your fingers up like this, you start changing physiologically the body to the mind relationship. You start having the view you are a winner. And I will tell you that everyone who's standing up right now is a winner. You won an incredible race, whether it was 25 years ago, or it was 35 years ago, or 92 years ago. The bottom line is you are a winner and you're here today. Thank you for standing up. So with that, I'd like to introduce Jerry Del Monte, who's going to help us with a guided imagery session. Now, Jerry works with our mind-body medicine service here at CTCA. She has been a provider of psychosocial care for our patients as they've dealt with their cancer. So she's going to help us to see through a guided imagery event. Jerry, please.
Hey. Oh, he told me I had to warm up, but I'm warmed up already. I'm so happy to be here. I can't tell you, I got a little one of my bucket list done. I took a long train ride here from Philadelphia. It was 9 hours, met beautiful people. And then I came off the train and was greeted by a little girl who thought I was her grandmother who was walking behind me. And she gave me this huge hug. I was like, oh, I'm meant to be here, you know. And then I came to the inn and met beautiful people there. I've met so many people that have names of my family. Emily was at the front desk. That's my I have an Emily godchild. Dr. Mary and Bob, that's my sister and her husband. So I'm saying, I am meant to be here. And it goes on. Penny's in the office here, and I have my mother-in-law is Penny. So I'm really thrilled to be here. I don't want to take much of your time because I want you to enjoy this guided imagery. This I just created another coincidence for our holistic nurses are doing a research project at the hospital. And they asked me to create a guided imagery and a tape. You're hearing it now. I want you to start breathing, start relaxing. We're doing a comparison between hand massages, 10-minute hand massages, and a 10-minute guided imagery. So this is the actual script, and I want to give it to you the way it's going to be done for our patients who have had treatments, whether it be radiation, chemotherapy, or surgery. They're going to be rescanned, or we call it restaging. And at that time, you know how the anxiety must be for them. And when I meet my patients, I love to use it's a phrase that Thich Nhat Hanh, have you heard of him, the Buddhist? He says, "My darling, I know you're suffering, and I'm there for you." And that's how I begin my relationships with my patients at the hospital and in my private practice too. So if you would just, I'm going to have to ask you to stop eating. I was a little concerned, one, for eating and then doing this for sleep. I understand a lot of you have just done some major testing. Yeah? So do take this time to relax, enjoy, and I'm leaving you with the thought of how easy it is. It is so easy to key down quickly when you need to, just by practicing some of these short modalities, deep breathing, guided imagery, mindfulness. This is how it reads, and I'm going to start out by this. I do want you to get comfortable in your seats, but I'm going to read it to you as it is. And you just take a nice look at this screen. I'll be out of your way. I might even just sit down so you don't look at me. And then relax, and this is how it goes. This is your time to relax. If you have never attempted a progressive relaxation exercise before, you may be pleasantly surprised at how quickly your mind and your body responds to your suggestions to relax, be still, and just dwell in a beautiful state of calm and peace. Remember that all important systems of your body work easier and faster in a calm and relaxed state to keep you as healthy as possible. You are assisting your body to fight and destroy any unwanted cells just by learning exercises like this that teach you how to relax. Your ability to cope is also enhanced with relaxation. The more you practice, the faster you can key down and be more of a help to all aspects of your mind, body, and spirit. So let's begin now. I'd like you to get comfortable in your seats if you want to sit nice and straight, feet flat on the floor, and your arms in your lap. Position yourself comfortably, and we're going to take a few deep breaths now. Nice, big, deep breaths. Blow out slow through your mouth. When you're ready, take another deep breath. Blowing out slowly, great. On your third deep breath, inhale deeply and just hold it for a second. And then let it release nice and slow. That's great. Now good. Now close your eyes if you haven't already. And just allow yourself to receive the healing benefits of relaxation. For just these few minutes, which may feel like a night of sound sleep, let your mind relax. All thoughts are pleasant thoughts now. There's nowhere to go and nothing to do, but just be in this safe and comfortable environment you're creating. Focus now on all the muscles of your head and face as they loosen with relaxation. Breathing deeply, let go of any tense muscles of your forehead and between your eyes. Feel the tiny muscles between your eyebrows release and smooth with relaxation. As you focus on your eyes and the tiny muscles inside and outside of your eyes, they relax. The eyelids respond by becoming heavy with relaxation. So heavy that they just won't work, like two iron gates closed with relaxation. But you know and I know that you can open your eyes anytime you want. But as long as you hold on to this state of relaxation, they just won't work. They stay closed with a comfortable feeling of deep relaxation. Now notice all the muscles of your cheeks and jaw. Allow the jaw to slightly drop open with relaxation. Release all tension in the jaw. Teeth unclenched. Tongue lays loose in the mouth. Moving down to the muscles of the neck and shoulders, as you breathe into these muscles, you are surprised at how quickly they release and sink into relaxation. You may feel as if nothing has changed, but don't be concerned, as this is your time to just relax and relax deeper than ever before. Just continue to relax now, moving down all the large and small muscles of the back, releasing and letting go as you move from the top of the back down to the middle back, and then to the lower back and buttocks, releasing any tension as you move along. Moving to the front of your chest and abdomen, all tension is released with every breath you take, and you go deeper into this relaxed state, feeling yourself sinking into your chair, heavy with relaxation. You may start to notice now that the arms are starting to feel heavy with relaxation, from the shoulders down to the elbows, from the elbows down to the wrists, from the wrists to the hands, and from the hands to the very tips of your fingers. You may even find the fingers tingling with relaxation, or not, it doesn't matter. But if you do, you will find it to be a very pleasing sensation. Continue now to move to the large and small muscles of your legs and allow them to release, let go, relax. With every breath you take, down from the hips to the knees. Even your knees feel relaxed. Down to the calves, down to the ankles, down to the feet and toes as they lay in your shoes. You may even feel your shoes surrounding the feet as they continue to relax. As you now have moved into this wonderful healing state of relaxation, the body loose and limp just like a rag doll, the mind peaceful and calm, and all thoughts contented thoughts. Let your mind take you to your most favorite place and time. Walk along, taking in the smell of the air, the ground under your feet, and the sounds that you hear. Sit yourself comfortably in this safe and soothing place. See all that is around you, all that is there to support you. Allow this place and all that is in it to penetrate deep into your being. Let the peace and calm penetrate deep into your consciousness and subconsciousness. And if you like, if you want to return to this feeling state quickly, anytime you feel the need, you find that if you take 3 deep breaths and say with each breath, peace. Be still. You find your body, mind, and spirit returns to this wonderful healing state just by saying, peace, be still. If you just say, peace, be still, your body returns to this healing state, loose and limp, the mind peaceful and calm, and all thoughts contented thoughts. Give this healing that only you can give to yourself. It's free and powerful, and more than that, it's available to you anytime you want, need, or desire. Now, in a moment, I will begin counting from 1 to 5. And on the count of 5, you will open your eyes and feel good, wonderful in every way, ready to go about your day feeling renewed with a new inner peace and calm that lingers as long as you want it to. As you may forget to remember, your breathing reminds you that you can say, be still and calm. Just by saying this, you can breathe deep and think, peace, be still. 1, starting to come up slowly now. 2, coming up a little bit more. 3, all body systems back to active mode. 4, feeling good, looking forward to the day and with a new sense of knowing what your body needs and a strong determination to take care of yourself through relaxation. 5, eyes open, awake, alert, ready to go about your day, feeling rejuvenated, comfortable, refreshed, and totally at peace with yourself and your surroundings. And remember, your peace is always with you. Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Delmont. Wonderful job. Come on. I have the honor of introducing to you as well Sarah Snyder. Sarah is one of our patients at Eastern Regional Medical Center up in Philadelphia.
Okay.
She often has a lot of responsibilities. Oh, thank you. For patient-physician relations. And so I'd like to introduce Sarah to share with us her experience. Sarah?
Thank you. Oh, I'm on. Thank you. I get to speak often about my experience as a patient, but I never get to meditate before I do it. That's amazing. How was that for everyone? Was that good? Great. Yeah? Have you done that before? Do you do that before you study? I know I'm in an osteopathic school. I've had the pleasure the past 5 years of working for CTCA, and my responsibility is to build relationships with physicians and healthcare systems. And I know the days I get to go into an osteopathic's office are my favorite days. You guys are awesome, and you're in a breed of your own, and I'm so grateful to be able to share my experience with you. So I want to build on what Dr. Stevenson said earlier about his examples with patients and how he had such an impact on them by just listening. I was diagnosed with a rare desmoid tumor right here in the left-hand wall of my abdominal rectus muscle when I was 26 years old. How many of you know what a desmoid tumor is? Thanks. That's about as rare as I am, one person in a room this big. It's in the sarcoma family. It embedded itself in my abdominal wall. We don't really know why it happened or how it happened. I was an avid runner at the time and used running as a way to kind of escape in life and get through. I worked in finance, and I had been an athlete in college but didn't know how to get through life afterwards, and so I started running a lot and using it as a way to just relieve stress and to relieve, I think, to meditate, really, in my life. And I found a lump in my stomach one day after a run, and as, of course, what you would do, I went back to the gym to get changed and asked, all my friends at the gym, well, what do you think this is? What is this? What should I do? And we all agreed that I should just go to a PCP and get it checked out just to rule out that nothing had happened. Well, I wouldn't be here today if nothing happened. So at 26 years old, I got the referral to go get the MRI. And MRI came back, and this is the part that I really want to talk to you about, is that I've had 2 very important experiences in my journey, and they were with 2 surgeons. And I have not met an osteopathic surgeon yet on my journey, so if anybody's in here on the fence, please, we really need you in the surgery field. But I met two surgeons on my journey, and I want to tell you about both of them and how different the experience was. So I got the MRI. I remember being at lunch with my colleagues in finance when I got the call from my PCP that there was a mass, something was wrong, and I needed to be referred to a surgeon. I had no idea what a surgeon was. I worked in finance. I had no idea. And it's so funny to me now that I'm in healthcare what this is. So I decided at 26 years old to go to the surgeon's office by myself and get this news by myself because I was really busy. It was kind of important. I had a lot of things to do, and I didn't have time to bother other people with this. So I went to the surgeon's office, and this is experience number one. First of all, when I walked in, they said to me, insurance card and name. That was my greeting, insurance card and name. I gave him my insurance card, I gave him my name, and then I proceeded to walk into their waiting room where they had talk television on. I literally think it was Jerry Springer. I'm not even kidding. I couldn't make that part of the story
relaxing.
up. I'm sorry, what? Oh, you're on. And I proceeded to sit there for 45 minutes by myself in his office, and this is when anxiety started to just turn in me. At first, I really thought it was nothing. I thought I was going to go there, and they were going to tell me they made a mistake. But when you sit in an office for 45 minutes, you don't really feel empowered. You don't really feel important. And I really didn't think I was getting a 2-minute, it's nothing news. So they finally called my name and they took me back, and then I sat in the patient room for 45 minutes by myself in the patient room. So now I had an hour and a half in. If you think I was not anxious, I wish that Jerry could have been there to do a meditation with me, although I would have totally rejected it at the time because that's not where I was. And he swung in, and I remember him swinging the office door open and pulling my chart off the wall and coming in and reviewing my chart in front of me and saying, oh, yep, you have a mass right there in your abdomen. We don't know if it's cancer yet. We won't know until we cut it out. We just need to cut that out and get that out of you. And I just sat there, and no one had told me anything yet about what was wrong with me. I thought I strained a muscle running. And so I think he saw my anxiety, and he saw what I was feeling, and so he pulled out his whiteboard, and he drew these 2 lines down the whiteboard, which is very traumatic for me too, and I choke up when I talk about it. The outline was supposed to be the outline of my abdomen. And he put an X and he said, I'm just gonna cut you here, and I'm gonna take it out. And if it's a desmoid tumor, which I think it might be, which is pretty rare, I'm gonna take margins and I'm gonna sew you back up and you'll be okay. If I go in and it looks more like cancer, or I get that pathology, I'm gonna sew you up and we're gonna come out and we're gonna talk about chemotherapy. It was so much spinning, I didn't know what was going on, and it was a point that I realized afterwards that somewhere in that moment, I became a child and he became an adult. And it was not okay for me to say how I was feeling. It was not okay for me to say that I wasn't okay. That's not what I wanted, that I didn't understand. It wasn't okay. And that continued. I actually went back to him one more time before I decided to go with the surgery because I knew right here in my gut where everything lives for me, I knew it was not right. I knew he wasn't right. I was so anxious. But I felt like he was the only person that knew about desmoids. I felt like he was the only person that could do this. I didn't really feel empowered to get a second opinion. And I felt like I was being told that I didn't have the right to ask questions. He told me I was anxious. He told me that I was just concerned, that this was like, Sarah, you need to go through with it. You need to move forward. So the one thing I did get him to agree with me on is I was allowed to run a half marathon before I went, to just know that my body still worked and that I could go, and I had one scheduled. I got to the holding room that day. One of the first things he said to me is, Sarah, you're way too anxious. And I said, I'm fine. My mom was there. I was fine. And I remember saying, you're anxious. I just need to give you calming juice. You guys probably know what medications they give for this. I didn't know, but I refused it. But he gave it to me anyway because he said I was too anxious, again, telling me that I didn't know my body. I ended up coming out of that surgery. He did not do anything that we agreed upon. He actually took the mass out. He didn't get a definitive reading, and he sent me home with no clean margins. So 7 days later, I had to go back and get clean margins, and I was devastated. So for those of you in this room that don't know about desmoids, I encourage you to look them up. Pretty much, it's very invasive, and I've known friends that lost so much stuff in here that I didn't even know you could function without having. I've met friends that have lost limbs because they've had them in their shoulders and their knees. So I knew the devastation of not getting clean margins, but I had to live with that. And then after that, the last encounter I had with this physician 3 months after that surgery, which I experienced incredible pain. My stomach distended and bloated up, which stayed that way for 4 years. I had a distended stomach, and if you would have saw me, I looked like I was 4 months pregnant pretty regularly, maybe 3 months pregnant. I became severely depressed. I was chronically constipated. I could not digest food. I was in so much pain I couldn't run. I would try to run, and I would wrap my stomach in bands so that I could go running, because he told me that my body would just be this way. The last encounter I had with him was, Sarah, this is just normal. You have pain after a surgery like this, and you should just keep moving forward. I asked him what I should do for my nutrition, because I said, I'm having problems digesting, and he told me, Sarah, it doesn't matter what you eat. You can eat whatever you want. If you want, we'll just put you on an antidepressant. I think that's what we should do. And that was a turning point for me. That was an incredible turning point. And this is not uncommon. I'm with doctors all the time. It's not common at CTCA, which is why I found that place, and not common with, I know, individuals in here. But what I want to share that story for is to say that coming out of that, I was chronically depressed. I was very sick. I was sick for 4 years, and the symptoms, which are very interesting, when I was listening to Dr. Stevenson, I literally couldn't let things out of my body. I couldn't digest because I was being told I was wrong and that my body was just supposed to be this way. I started doing the things that Jerry brought up. I started meditating. I started changing my diet. I went back and learned how to eat a whole foods diet, and I eat a very clean diet now. I taught myself that. I started using acupuncture for my pain. It was the only way I could get through the day. I had a lot of shoulder pain and hip pain, which you guys probably understand why, if my tumor was here, I had shoulder pain here and hip pain here. So I would have to do acupuncture to get through that. I didn't know about osteopathy then. But it was through that journey that I became the empowered patient, and I figured out that this is my body and something's not right. So about 4.5 years later, I had the gift of having another patient who had similar symptoms of me, being relieved of them from a surgeon that she found. And this is my experience number 2. So 4.5 years later, after I've taught myself this plethora of integrative ways to get through life, I meet this physician, and I called him because I got this referral, and his assistant, Nina, she answered the phone the first time she was there. She was so kind and courteous to me. She was so interested in my experience and why I was calling and what I needed. And they were in Texas. This clinic was in Texas, and at the time I was living in Virginia. And she took down all of my information. She set up a call with me with the physician in 3 weeks so that I didn't have to fly there, so I could talk to him and see if this was the right fit for me. And we didn't even know what my problem, I still didn't know what my problem was. I just had symptoms. So 3 weeks later, when the call was scheduled, I was actually in the airport. I was flying out of the country on an international trip with my mother, and he called me right on time when he said he was going to call me, and he asked me, Sarah, can you tell me a little bit about yourself? What's going on? Tell me about what you're feeling. Tell me about why you're calling me. I've already reviewed your records. I see what you got here, but I need to learn about you. And so we went through this 45-minute call. It was between, I remember he had to go back to the OR. He had squeezed me in on a very busy schedule. But he listened to everything that I said, and he didn't promise me that he could do anything. He told me, based on what you're telling me, I think that I can do something. It's a very unique surgery. I found out that I had a reductible hernia. It was very major, and I had a lot of scarring in my stomach. And he said, I think I can do this. I can completely reconstruct your abdomen. What he ended up doing was pulling the right side of my abdominal wall over to the left side and completely repairing it back together. He did end up having to put a little bit of mesh in my stomach. I had a completely eroded mesh in my stomach as well. But he said, I don't know if I can do anything, but we can try. If you fly to Texas, I'll give you an appointment in the clinic on Friday, and we'll schedule the surgery on a Monday. I had never felt so much hope in my life and listened to from those 4 years. And so I decided to fly there with my family. And I think this is the most important part of the story, is that when I got there, his clinic was so beautiful and so welcoming, and his assistant was so welcoming, and they were so excited that I'd come. Like, they just were waiting all day for me. And when I went into his office, this is what he did. I was sitting there, and he pulled his chair out, and he sat beside me, and he looked at me in my eyes, and he asked me to retell him everything that I told him on the phone. And he reminded of my slides. He reminded me of everything. He included my parents who were there, and we had a dialogue. It was like we were a partnership. Like, we were doing this together. If we were going to war together, we were doing it together. And he made me feel very included. And he had to give me one of the hardest news before the other. And that was, at the time, I was 30 years old. And he said, Sarah, if I do this surgery, you'll never be able to carry a child. And I need you to know that. And I want to make sure that if you walk forward in this, that you're agreeable to that. And he sat down and he let me cry, and he talked to my parents about it, and I got to talk to my significant other about it. And he said, I would not but I would not begrade you if you decide not to get this surgery. Like, I would understand that if you decided, but at the time, there's no way I could carry a baby that way, and we both knew. And so he delivered this news so beautifully to me, and so wonderfully. So fast forward, I went through the surgery. I did a lot of imagery therapy leading up to it. I did a lot of the imagery therapy out of. I healed incredibly. The miraculous thing, I didn't have an ounce of scar tissue in my body. I had had tons of scar tissuing before. He spent about 6 hours of the surgery releasing scar tissue from my stomach. I had that much scar tissue from the previous experience. My digestion is completely fine. I'm completely healthy and healed. I'm actually training to run a 14-mile race in a few weeks. And he's one of my dear friends. He just had his wife just had a baby about 6 months ago, and I send him cards. And I think something else that's important to note is I've sent 6 patients to him since then. The guy before, if I could, I'd write on the walls about how terrible he was. But it really mattered in my healing. It really mattered to me. Not only that, I became a very healthy, empowered person, and spiritually, it opened me up a lot for that kindness. So I'm sure that there's much more that he did than I could just explain today, but I just hope you realize that what you say matters, how you act matters. Just the fact that he sat down with me mattered. Just the fact that he cared about my story matters. And he's making me a functional individual that can come out and share my life and extend to people now. Not only because of what he did physically, but I really feel like what he did spiritually and what he did to me as a person was so powerful. So please don't discount as you move forward that your words matter, your actions matter, and how you treat people matters. So thanks for letting me share with you.
Didn't you do a great job? That was awesome. You know, there's some housekeeping I wanted to get caught up with right before I close here. And I want to say first, Stephanie Cajolis, are you Stephanie? Stephanie helped arrange this. Dr. Foster called her, and then it was between the two of them that this all came about. So I want to say thank you, Stephanie, for all your hard work in pulling this together. Next to her is Mark Emily. Mark is our oncology information specialist. So patients who learn about the experience at CDCA need more information, and Mark and his team help provide that phone call to help. So I want to say thank you for that. And my colleague here, Miss Annie Elfrain, has helped me put all this together. So this is my friend Annie. So in conclusion, your words hurt or heal, kill or give hope. Many of our patients at CTCA come to us because they were injured somewhere else and they need hope. Your words convey hope or they kill people. People will listen to you very closely and you say, yes, I think you'll die in 2 weeks. Well, they will abide by your wishes and your mandates. If you plant the seed of hope and opportunity, miracles occur. So the words of the reckless pierce like swords, but the tongue of the wise brings healing. That's Proverbs 12:18. Very important. You are all leaders. You will all be looked to as healers and trusted souls. The amount of respect that you will inherently have because you are a physician and healer as an osteopath, please don't ever lose sight of that. And please honor that role that people are handing to you their lives and trusting you. They need your hope, they need your healing, they need your hearts. God talks to you through your heart. There's a little voice called intuition. Listen to your heart always. It will always protect you and choose life. It will never hurt you. I love these books. So if you've never read any of these books, get them from the bookstore. Get them on your library shelves. Read them. So with that, I say thank you very much for all your help today. Have a wonderful experience as an osteopathic student and physician and healer, and go forward.